All right, man. We're finna go ahead and get it started. All right, let's get it rocking, man. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast. For today's episode 178, we're going to be discussing: Are you playing to win or not to lose? So this is going to be a huge question that I believe everybody should ask themselves, and especially you watching this right now. A few things I want to say before I go ahead and get it started. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and on Rumble, all at Life of a Champ podcast on every platform. Also, if this is your first time watching a podcast, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, and also go ahead and subscribe as well. So, I wanna talk about this specific topic because I don't see enough people playing the game that they say that they want to go ahead and play. And usually when you ask somebody about their ideal life, they'll talk about, "Oh, I want to play this big extravagant game." Okay, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and I would encourage more people to go ahead and do that, right? As that's what I'm doing myself, right? So with that being said, then you take a look at their actions to see if they're even aligning to what they have to say, and unfortunately, like most people, it isn't exactly aligned. So there's a little bit of contradictory there. And here's for today's episode, I want to kind of get people to understand the consequences of their actions and what both will entail on today's episode. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I want to go ahead and get it started. Like I said, if you guys have any interest in this, if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. If you're watching it live on Twitch or on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and leave comments as well. If you have any questions regarding anything that I'm talking about today, let us know. Let me know for sure. So obviously, if you take a look at society, is built upon a few different types of people, right? So you got your average person, which obviously there would be more. There's plenty of average people. You being another one would just be one in let's just say a couple hundred million almost, and that's just what it is. That's just being real with it, right? And then there's just people who play a bigger game, and that game looks like they're playing to win, right? So like I said, there's going to be drawbacks in every single thing, and like I said, I want to kind of inform you of these things that I observe. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. So yeah, let's go ahead and get it rocking, man. All right. So like I said, there's two options you have: playing to win and then playing to not lose, right? Obviously, we can all recognize that most people never win because the game that they choose is the game to never lose, right? So this is what I would deem to be playing it safe. Playing it safe. And like I said, if you want to play it safe and live an extravagant life, there's no such thing that does exist. If you want to live a desirable, in my opinion, what I would deem to be a desirable life full of freedom that is probably worth something worth striving towards, you're going to have to automatically play the game to win. So like I said, there's going to be drawbacks to all of these things, right? So going back to what I was saying, right? Recognizing that most people never win because they play the game to not lose. I want to kind of ask you guys some questions. Do you think that's the best route that they possibly can take? Especially, let's just say if they are young. Do you think that is the best route that they could possibly take? And obviously, most people would probably answer no, especially if you're young and you have a lot of potential. If you're just an average person and you recognize that you're an average person and there's nothing, you're not going to be able to do anything in your life to become better than average, then this podcast isn't for you. But with that being said, then like I said, obviously take the path to not lose. And there's certain games that you can play. So like let's just say the game of dedicating yourself to a career that's not going to pay more than 150,000 a year. That's what that is. So that's choosing a career. Maybe that looks like going to college and then maybe having a good time in college and just trying to figure it out after the 4 years is up. That would be what I would deem to be playing to not lose, right? Or maybe this can look in many different aspects, and like I said, it's going to be the route that is most taken for sure, easily the route that is most taken. But then you have to analyze. Okay, if you look at the trajectory of their life, is that what the life that you want to live? And when you ask yourself that question, you begin to realize that most of those people who live that existence, unfortunately, aren't living the best life that they possibly can live, and they know it. But yet they don't take any action that would defy their end result that is inevitable if they continue the same path that they're on. So, like I said, what game do you want to play? Do you want to play the game to win, or do you want to play the game not to lose? So, obviously, there's going to be plenty of advantages of playing the game not to lose, right? So let's just say, let's look at it. So you can never hit hit the bottomest bottom of rock bottoms, right? You can't hit that low if you're playing to not win, or if you're playing to not lose rather. So this is the way that it works within my mind. So if you're playing to win, like let's just say the top of the screen is winning, right? The bottom of the screen, wherever it's at, is losing, right? If you play to not lose, this is only as high as you could get, and this is only as low as you could get. Does that make sense? That's the way it works within my mind. So like I said, so there is an advantage to playing to not lose, right? That advantage is you never fully hit rock bottom, right? But the drawback is you never actually win. You can never win. Your winning is going to look like this compared to people's this. Does that make sense? And if you're completely okay with that and content with that, that's on you for sure. But you must analyze in this game what is a desirable life for you? Is it an average existence, or is it something that you see other people living that you're saying, how the hell did they do that? I would like to live that life. And if that is the case, which I would deem to be most people watching this, that would be the case. How did they get there? What game did they play? What games did they avoid themselves from playing, right? More importantly, start to begin to ask yourself those questions, because those questions are the same questions that those people who play to win have asked themselves. They wanted to defy the average life. They were able to defy the average life with their characteristics, with their habits, with their identity, with their actions, with their discipline. They were able to defy all the average life with all those things, and obviously maybe even a little bit more. But like I said, you can only win so much when you're playing to not lose, right? And like I said, there's gonna be drawbacks to everything, right? So let's just say, for example, let's just say you go ahead and decide, I want to go ahead and play the game. I want to play to win, right? In this game of life, when you're playing to win, like I had mentioned, your highest high is winning. Whatever that looks like for you. You have to define what that looks like for you. In my opinion, that would look like fulfilling my definition of success. That is winning in this game of life. But at the same time, you also have the drawback, which is going to be the negative, right? Which is going to be the lowest of lows that this life can provide, right? So you can have two different point of views with this, and I'll give you my own personal point of view of this, right? You could say, holy shit, I can really win this game. You could also say, holy shit, I could lose this game. See, my thing is this, right? There's a lot of people, when they play to win and they don't win right away, they feel like they lost. In my opinion, I don't lose. I never lose. Losing is not in my vocabulary at all. It is when I talk about other people, but it is not when I talk about myself. Failure and losing are not, they don't exist for me. So, like I said, do you think it's within your best interest for when you try to play this game of winning, to have losing or failure within your vocabulary? Is that best suited for your life? And I would say no, right? Some people call it losing, some people call it learning, right? Some people call it failing. Some people say they, like I said, I would consider quitting failing, right? But if you never quit, then you can never fail. So that's the way that I say it. So you're still in the game at the end of the day. You're still in the game, right? So, like I said, there's going to be things that you must evaluate with your life, right? What is your definition of winning in the first place? If your definition of winning is getting to the highest of high of playing to not lose, then I guess that's where you would go, right? But one thing I want to mention, I think this is the most interesting thing of all, is when you're playing to not lose, like I said, you have your high right here and you have your low right here. The unfortunate thing is the people that play to not lose, they're usually right here. They might get a little bit almost close to halfway, but for the most part, they're still not winning in their game to not lose, if that makes any sense. Most of them are at the bottom of that, so barely surviving. But like I said, it's not rock bottom, right? So like I said, I want to mention another thing as well when it comes to playing to win, right? When you play to win, you get to experience all of the emotions that the human experience has to offer, which I believe to be one of the most beautiful things that does exist. You're going to feel the highest of highs and you're going to feel the lowest of lows. The only way that you can appreciate the highest of highs is if you've had the lowest of lows, right? Whatever that would look like for you. But at the end of the day, at least you have a chance to win the game. Because if you're playing to not lose, you can't really win like that. You can't. There's what really is winning? And this is what I see, that a lot of people decide with their life that they want to go ahead and live it like this. But my thing is this: if you decide to live your life to not lose, you must not be envious of those who win, because you had the opportunity to make for yourself, for you to go ahead and win if you would like, but you didn't choose that route. It's a very preventative mindset to play the game not to lose, in my opinion. But like I said, you're only voiding yourself from the lowest of lows, but you're also voiding yourself from the highest of highs. If you want or even think the highest of highs would be worth it, then you must play the game to win. Regardless of what happens on your journey, you must take the chance to go ahead and play the game to win. So, with that being said, what sounds more of what you would like to play? With all that given, what sounds like the most appeasing type of game that you would like to play? Are you going to play the game to win, or are you going to play the game to not lose? The thing about it is this: we already know what game that I'm playing. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. I don't have to say anything. You know the name of the podcast. You know my name. We already know what game I'm playing. I've made the decision. I've made the decision to win, to play the game to eventually win, because playing the game to not lose is what I would deem to be an average existence. Everybody can play that game, but not everybody can play the game to win. That's what I'll say. Let me read some of these comments. You're playing to stay aloof. You don't have to deal with the burden of failing, and you don't have to deal with the uncomfortable feeling you have to face to, yeah, okay, you have to face a win. Exactly. You're exactly right with that. But like I said, you have to define what you would like for this life. If you want an average existence, you cannot be envious of those who have an existence that is objectively better than yours. You can't. You just can't. But at the same time, whatever decision you make, you must be satisfied, completely satisfied with that decision. There's no, oh man, I wish, man. There's none of that. You can't wish any other way. If you've made that decision, you must sit within that decision. You must be content with that decision. So let's just say you played the game to win, and you are not winning. I'm not gonna say losing. I'm not gonna say failing. You're just not winning right now, and that's okay. You must be okay with the decision that you've made to play the game to win, because if the game isn't over, then you still have the opportunity to go ahead and win. But the thing is with this, like I said, another drawback of playing the game to win is when people aren't winning, they feel like they're wasting their time. But it's only a waste of time, truly, if you don't do what it takes to win. That's the only time it feels like a waste of time. That's the only time where it feels like you're not living up to your potential, is if you're not acting in accordance to what you would define what a winner would look like. So you must ask yourself, if you're whatever game that you play, are you content with that game? And one thing I want to mention as well, give me 1 second. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments regarding anything that I've mentioned, whether you're watching this or watching this live, let me know in the comments. Give me 1 second real quick. I want to mention this as well. When it comes to choosing the game of playing to not lose, that is indeed a risk. And there's risk to both of these things. And like I've already mentioned, right? You must weigh out the risks that you're taking, right? There's plenty of risk to play the game to win, and there's plenty of risk playing the game not to lose. So you must ask yourself, are you taking risks, or are you taking the biggest risk of all, which is no risk at all? What I would deem to be the playing not to lose mindset is risk adverse. You're taking very minimal risk, but at the same time, it's almost as if you're not taking any risks at all, which I would deem, and most people would deem, the biggest risk of all. So, if you have time left in the game, if you have potential and you believe you have potential, yet you're not playing the game to win, then what the hell are you doing? Why have you not made decisions that would suggest a possibility of you winning? Don't you see people living a life that you want to live, that are winning at this life, that are thriving at this life, why couldn't you be like them? Why would you choose a path that would put you on the trajectory that most people go, which is a game to not lose? Some people settle for being mediocre, then they complain because they don't get ahead of the game. She's exactly right. But like I said, if you play the game to be mediocre, if you play the game to not lose, you must be content with your decision. You must say, this is the pinnacle of the human experience that I have chosen. I have to sit and live with this decision, and when my children eventually ask why I didn't play the game to win, I would have said, because I thought in my mind that it was better worth my time to play the game to not lose. And if you cannot see yourself telling your children that, then don't play the game to not lose. And it's as simple as that. See, regardless of what happens within my life, at the very least, I would have the lesson to tell my kids, play the game to win. Well, first, because I've won. And second, it's going to teach you a lot more about yourself than playing to not lose. Like I said, if you want to live an average existence, that's completely fine. It's not something that I would recommend, nor something that I would do. But what I will say with that is, you're going to have to at least when it comes to your children, if they ever ask you a question like that, if they ever start to demean what you've built for yourself, and even if it's an average existence because it's the outcome of playing to not lose, then you must be completely content with whatever they have to say. Because if not, you made that decision. So like I said, if you make the decision, you must be prepared for any and every outcome that will come. That's just what it is. So like I said, if you play to win, be ready and prepared for almost anything. And if you prepare yourself to be playing the game to not lose, also be prepared for anything that comes. Like I had mentioned before, the people who play the mediocre game, the people who play to not lose, most of those people live at the bottom of their existence, of their chosen experience of existence. That is going to be what I would deem to be the anxious, depressed, average person who's probably overweight as well. That's probably where they're at. They're playing the game not to lose. They play this the game that I see them playing too often is the game of entertainment. The game of comfort. The game of the next high, whatever that looks like to them, right? The next break, the next vacation, the next weekend. That's what I see. If you do not want to play that game, you must act in accordance to not playing that game. So, like I said, if you're playing to not lose, or okay, one thing I want you to do, and one question I want you to ask yourself is when you observe people who play the game not to lose, what are there certain actions that they take that would suggest that they can't win? That would suggest that they're playing the game to not lose. Analyze for yourself, what games are these people playing? What decisions are they making? What habits do they uphold, if any at all? Are they disciplined or are they not disciplined? Are they seeking only entertainment or are they seeking education? Observe all of those things. And the same thing as well. When you analyze the people who play this game to win, you must begin to analyze those same questions that I've asked. What habits are they upholding? What levels of discipline have they instilled in order to have that winner mindset? What characteristics have they developed through their experiences that have been able to help them cultivate a mindset that is going to be ready to play to win? You ask all those questions, and like I said, the closer you can come, and like I said, what resonates with you truly? What do you feel that you're more inclined to naturally? Are you more risk adverse, or are you more of a risk taker? And one thing I want to mention with this as well is I'm not saying take the biggest risk and have no actual like planned out thoughts before that, and just take it and then see where it goes, right? I believe that every risk should be calculated to an extent, but at the same time, you must also live with a bit of faith and also a bit of delusion. Just like the greats who came before you, they all had faith in themselves. They all had faith in the path that they've chosen. They've all had faith in the game that they chose to go ahead and win. And they also had a bit of delusion, which allowed them to go ahead and become greater than the average person. See, with all that being said, you must have both of those things if you choose the game to go ahead and win. If you choose to play the game to go ahead and win, then you must go ahead and do that. Hold up, I gotta read a comment real quick. There's no lying or making excuses about your reason for staying average. Your children will see it right through, and that's probably worse. And she's exactly right. Yeah, there's no lying, there's no making excuses for the reasons that you're staying average. Like I said, there's going to be, and here's the thing, you must be prepared for this, because if you haven't prepared yourself for that, like I said, you must be willing to be questioned, because your kids are going to see people that win, and your kids are also going to see people that lose, and they're also going to see people who have never won ever, and also who have never lost. And there's certain things that they can easily take from all those experiences to eventually make their own decision on what they want to go ahead and do. So now I ask you the question: do you want to be the example to them of playing to not lose, so they can see right through it, or are you going to be the example, for the better or for the worse, of what could happen if you play the game to win? For me personally, like I said, regardless of what happens within this life, I would much rather play the game to win and live with the result and be the example that they could learn from, as opposed to them trying to forge their own path of trying to play to win, and then me not being able to really give them any guidance at all, because I have no idea what it feels like to win, and I have no idea what it feels like to truly lose. Right? So you must ask yourself the question: what game do you want to go ahead and play? Are you playing to win? Observe the game that you're playing right now. Matter of fact, what game are you playing right now? If you evaluate all the decisions that you've made up into this point of life, if you evaluate your planning for life, are you playing to win, or are you playing to not lose? Based off of your decisions already, like I said, regardless of what you want to do, right? What does your life decision suggest right in this moment right now? Unfortunately, most people that even most people that say they I want to play to win, their actions, unfortunately, are those of who are playing to just not lose. That's it. That's just what it is. So, like I said, when it comes to that, are you living within contradictory? Are you living within practicality based off of your actions that you've taken today? Now, me, I'm playing the game to win. My actions would align to those who are playing to win. My actions would actually probably align a lot closer to those who have already won. Not the person that's playing to win, but the person who's already won. I've analyzed enough people, just as I would recommend anybody and everybody to go ahead and analyze the people who have won the game. What do they do? Like I mentioned, I've already gave you a few questions that you could ask when it comes to observing those certain people. That is what I've personally done. So therefore, through the things that I've learned, I've been able to apply that to my life and made the decisions that I deem to be the best for my own personal life. So one question I want to ask you again: are you taking risks, or are you taking the biggest risk of all, which is no risks? No risk, no reward. Risk, you risk to lose. You risk failure, you risk to lose, right? But you also risk to win. Winning is, like I said, if you're going to play a game, because here's the thing, you're going to play a game regardless, right? Like I mentioned, you're either playing to not lose or you're playing to win. You're going to be playing a game regardless. Give yourself the opportunity to win. Truly win. And like I said, when I say win's going to look different for every single person. Like I said, in my opinion, it's fulfilling my definition of success. That is playing the game of potentially winning. It's playing the game that's going to lead me to the game of my success, right? Like I mentioned on previous podcasts before, you must obviously define what success looks like to you, and that would also, like I said, that'd be my definition of winning. Maybe winning for you, maybe you're an athlete, so maybe winning to you is playing at the highest level and winning the highest championship that you possibly can win. That's winning to you. Maybe winning to you is, like I said, maybe winning to you is the average existence of not to lose. Maybe that's winning to you. Or maybe winning to you is being a very successful business owner who's a millionaire. Maybe that's winning to you, right? But at the very least, you must define, and this is what I would have. That's what I recommend everybody to define. What is winning to you? Because, like I said, winning is not the same for everybody. Based off of your viewpoint of your life, of your paradigm of existence, right? What is winning to you? Winning to me, like I said, maybe hopefully me giving you this definition of what winning is to me, maybe it'll help inspire your own definition. Maybe you can take some of the things that I say, and maybe you can leave the rest, right? Winning to me would look like building something that no one else has built. That's what winning is to me. Winning is to me is having a wife and children. That is winning to me. Winning to me is being able to support my entire family financially. That's winning to me. Winning to me is building a body that most people would want to have, that most people don't have. That's winning to me. Winning to me is striving for the best at what I do. So this would be this podcast. Trying to be not trying to be somebody that does podcasting, but somebody who's, when it's all said and done, this person was one of the best podcasters that ever existed. Because like I said, if you're gonna play a game, make sure you're playing the game to hopefully win. Give yourself the opportunity to win. And at the very least, even if it is delusion, at least you have the right mindset. At least you have the mindset, and you had the faith, and you had the delusion of the greats who came before you. At the very least, even if shit goes sideways, at the very least you had the right approach, the same approach that the greats have had. And that's what it comes down to, man. Are you playing the game to win? Or are you playing the game to not lose? Or playing, to not lose, yeah. Give me 1 second. If any of what I said resonates with you, if you liked any of the things that I said on today's episode, let me know. If there was a specific question that I've asked that you've enjoyed me asking, that made you think, leave it in the comments. I'm gonna check Twitch's chat, make sure nobody's over there. I appreciate it. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, whether you're watching this or watching this live, let me know in the comments. But yes, I think these questions are absolutely necessary when it comes to asking yourself what life that you want to live. So there's plenty of questions that you must ask yourself within this life. Like I said, this podcast is only going to be this specific podcast is only going to be an example of some of the questions that you must ask yourself to get to really know yourself, to get to really know what you want, and to give yourself somewhat of a structure to go live your life based off of. If you observe most people's lives, most people have no structure, they have no foundation, and they're kind of just getting by, right? And if you analyze the people who've just gotten by, do you want to live life like the people who've just gotten by? Or do you want to live the life of somebody that you admire, or people that you admire, right? I would say that's way more of a worthy existence, in my opinion. You take little pieces of the people that you admire, that are successful in your own respective, in your own definition. You take little pieces of them, and you build your own character that way. That would only make sense. Like, most people that play the games to lose, a lot of those people play video games, right? That's just what it is. They play video games. You know, you can play the greatest game of all. It's called real life, man. It's called real life. All you have to do, instead of upgrading your character in the game, is upgrade your character in real life. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, I've decided to upgrade, put the games down. I decided this when I was 18. Put the games down, and let's start to upgrade my character in real life, because that's more fun. It should be more fun. And instead of trying to win within a game, Because here's the thing: most people that play the games to not lose are definitely trying to win in games that don't even exist really. Isn't that the funniest thing of all? Instead of trying to win in real life, they're trying to win in a game that doesn't matter. And when next year, when next year when the next game comes out, that win that you've gotten, or those wins that you've gotten, are are nothing. Like they were nothing to begin with, right? So like I said, play the game to win, man. That's gonna be my advice. Or like I said, here's the thing: if you don't agree with what I have to say, play the game to lose. That's completely fine. Or play the game to not lose rather. You're not losing. You're not losing, by the way. You're just playing the game to not lose. That's it. That's it. And like I said, for me, that's a loss. That's a loss in my own opinion. But like I said, there's unlimited opportunities within this life, especially within this age of the internet. And if you choose a decision that you could have chosen 15, 20, 30 years ago, you choose a decision in the modern day with all the opportunity that does exist, with the universe being abundant, right? You choose an opportunity that you could have chosen 30 years ago, then you've wasted the opportunity. Now, I wish that we could take somebody from 30 years ago, bring them into today's society, and then for them to choose a life that they couldn't have chosen then. Exactly. Hold up, I got a good comment. There's a good comment right there. I appreciate your comments in that. Have a vision of what you want your life to be, and then pursue it for yourself. Like I said, you must develop this vision. You must develop this. Like I said, develop your vision for what it looks like to win, or develop your vision for what it looks like to not lose. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing: if you never develop this, then you're still living based off of your decisions. You can kind of see your trajectory, right? Um, and like I said, if you're not happy with that trajectory, then you must change it. Obviously, if it's not your ideal trajectory, you must change it. But at the very least, you're going somewhere. Somewhere for some people is nowhere, if I'm being honest. But your decisions are going to suggest that you're going somewhere. At least be somewhat in control of you going somewhere. Because if not, then society's kind of just guiding your way and saying, "Hey, look at this. This looks kind of cool. Come play this game, right?" Or yeah, play this game to not lose. Because it's I don't need. There's like I said, I can't even make it enticing. I can't even make it enticing because I just don't know what the hell that looks like. I can't make it enticing, man. But like I said, ask yourself these questions. Come to the conclusion yourself. Like I said, I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't do. I'm telling you based off of what you feel inside, based off of what you see people and how you see people's lives. What life do you want to go ahead and live, right? What games do you want to go ahead and play? Do you want to play to win or do you want to play not to lose? I'm going to suggest. Of course, I'm going to suggest what I would do, but that's only because I've asked myself enough questions to analyze what is best for me. But like I had mentioned, ask yourself the questions that I have asked on today's episode. Come to the conclusion yourself, and hopefully, you can start to play the game that you want to play. Whatever game that is for you. At least you can say you're somewhat in control because you at least know where you're going. Because most people can't even say that. They can't say that they're in control of where they're going because truly they're not in control of where they're going. They're simply going based off of what society had told them to go. But like I said, at the very least, I want you to go ahead and zoom out and observe your life for what it is, based off of your actions. What game are you choosing to play? Are you playing the game to win? Or are you playing the game not to lose? Are you being preventative, or are you taking risks? Or are you taking the biggest risk of all, which is no risk at all? Like I said, every risk you take in general needs to be a calculated risk to an extent. But with any risk at all, you must have faith within yourself. You must have a bit of delusion within yourself. Because like I had mentioned, all the greats who came before you who were able to achieve something that most people couldn't think or didn't think was possible, they achieved it, right? Because they had faith and they had a little bit of delusion and they believed in themselves. So if you're whatever decision you make sure you have faith, make sure you have a bit of delusion, and make sure you believe in yourself, and you're going to be much better off. But yes, that is what I have to say for today's episode. Today's episode is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you another one of my ideas that I've had in the recent time that kind of relate to this. Give me 1 second. Let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about this. I think this is gonna go hand in hand with what I have to say for today's episode. Give me 1 second. This is what I would deem to be playing the game. Give me 1 second. All right, give me 1 second. I got it right here. This would be what I would deem to be playing the game to not lose, right? there's gonna be two huge differentiating factors within this, right? So when you play the game not to lose, essentially what you're doing is you're choosing comfort. You're valuing and putting comfort above everything else. Comfort is above winning or the potential of winning. That's essentially what you're, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that is what you're suggesting to yourself. You're suggesting to yourself that comfort is to be prioritized above winning or potentially winning, right? And obviously the body and the mind, they seek comfort, obviously, right? But the difference between the people who play to win and the people who play to not lose is the people who play to win only seek comfort after adversity. That is the only difference, really. That is truly the only difference. The people who play not to lose, like I said, in their value hierarchy, they have comfort above everything else. So therefore, they want comfort without even having to earn it. Does that make any sense? Because like I said, there's people who do play to win, who are living comfortable, but they're only living comfortable because they've earned a level of comfort and they've won. You can have both. But that's what the people who play not to lose don't understand, is you can have both. But you must be willing to take that risk. Most people aren't willing to take the risk, so therefore most people live the life as if they've never taken any risks at all, which, like I had mentioned, is the biggest risk of all. And like I'd mentioned, the people who play the game to not lose, they have it wrong, in my opinion, right? They want to be comfortable without having to earn it. But like I said, those same people, more often than not, are envious of those who have won the game. They're jealous. But like I said, how could you be jealous of somebody because they made a different decision in life than you did? You can't. Like I said, if you make a decision and you're firm within your decision and you're content and comfortable with the decision you make, then what the hell? Then, like I said, why you complaining about somebody else's life, man? See, my thing is this, right? The people who play the game not to lose, they void themselves from adversity in order to seek the comfort, right? But then at the same time, then they wonder why they aren't as happy or fulfilled as those people who are playing the game to win. They're not as happy, they're not as fulfilled, and like I had mentioned before earlier on this podcast, right? They play the game to not lose, and obviously there's going to be a bottom of not losing, right? Which I would deem to be somewhat depression and somewhat anxious, right? And somewhat, like I said, I can go on and on about all these, but I would say are negative emotions that unfortunately are a lot more common than people would like to admit. With that being said, they wonder why they're not as happy and fulfilled, and it is because you've not taken enough risks. You haven't taken enough risks to be as happy or as fulfilled as what you see other people being, who've chosen a different decision for their life. So like I said, instead they're depressed, anxious, like I said, any negative emotion under the sun. Like I had mentioned, right, obviously, a drawback of playing the game to win is you still might feel those feelings. You still might have those feelings of being depressed and anxious. And as well as, if you're playing the game to not lose, maybe you will be fulfilled. Maybe you will be happy. But maybe you wouldn't, like I said, you have the top of the playing not to lose, right? You have the top of it, right? But maybe that top isn't as happy. Maybe that top isn't as fulfilled. And maybe that bottom is maybe that's not as depressed or maybe as anxious. And maybe that bottom of playing to win is more anxious and more depressed. But like I said, the beauty of life is in my opinion, to experience all the experiences of life in order for you to appreciate the good experiences of life. That is living a fulfilled and full life experience, in my opinion. To avoid yourself from those essential, what I would deem to be essential human life experiences, is to do yourself a disservice, in my opinion. Like I said, you must analyze that for yourself, but through my own observations of life, through successful people, through people who aren't successful, I'd say that's a much more worthy existence to live the entire spectrum of emotions, and for hopefully you to do it with some type of meaning and being somewhat fulfilled with the decisions you make, regardless if you're happy, regardless if you're sad. If you're choosing a life where you can potentially win and you're being fulfilled, that is the most ideal life for me personally. Like I said, analyze it for you. Maybe me and you differ. Maybe me and you are a lot similar. If we're different, leave it in the comments. And if we're the same, leave it in the comments. That's all I have to say for today's episode. This was episode 178 of the Life of a Champ podcast, talking about playing to win or playing to not lose. A few things I want to say before I go to get it, or before I rather end it. Make sure you go and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and Rumble. Like I said, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go and leave a like and subscribe. Next podcast is going to be on next Thursday. I have a podcast every single Thursday at around 7 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for today's episode, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you can take something from this. Hopefully, you can at least ask yourself one of the questions that I've asked you on today's episode. Answer it for yourself, and hopefully become a better person based off of that answer, off of that clarity of that answer, right? One thing I want to say before I end it as well is I'll be having a lot more reactions here soon. More shorts on the way, more videos on the way. And like I said, I got a new monitor, fellas. So be prepared to see some reactions here soon. If there's a video that you personally want me to react to, that you think might be entertaining or you think might be educating to the people, let me know and I will react to it live on a live stream. But I'll be doing those this upcoming week. Other than that, so I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all work at these motherfuckers because you know that I am and because you know there's no other way. Play the game to win, or take the biggest risk of all, which is none at all. Have a good night. Like I said, stay tuned